This is I Want Studio podcast show. I am your humble host, Alex.
Mr. Richard London, please tell the audience about yourself and your background.
Well, things start at the age of 4 years old. I was the first person in the 20th century to use the law of attraction or The Secret. I was born into a poor family, and I had a bad habit. I liked to eat really well, yes. And so I was walking on the boardwalk where I lived, a street, and I wanted pennies. I wanted my pockets full of pennies. So within minutes, my pockets were full of pennies. Next day, I wanted nickels. Next day, I wanted dimes. Next day, I wanted quarters. And being an intelligent young man at 4 years old, then I went to, I want to find envelopes, white envelopes filled with money. So I would find $200, $400, $600, $800 in envelopes. And that continued for years and years and years. So by the time I was 8, I had 13 children working for me, and in today's standards, I was making $330,000 US dollars. So I was richer than anybody in my family, my mother, my father, my teachers, everybody around me. And so I shared my money with people, with my sisters, with my family, and I had a wonderful, wonderful childhood. So I realized I had special, we'll call it special powers. And those powers grew and grew. And when I was a child, God said to me, you have to be the smartest person in the world, and you have to be the strongest person in the world. And then people will listen to you, and they will respect you. So I became a 5th degree black belt, 10th level. And so all through my life, nicely enough, people have listened to me, and people have respected me. So my life is about being of service to humanity and giving leaders of the world and regular people the solutions that move them forward in their life. And, we're in a world, everybody's calling it a crisis, but we're really in a world of change and transformation. And one thing I want your listeners to know is that your past is in stone and your future is in paper. So based on the decisions that you make will determine what your future looks like. And you want to have a great future. So it takes great intuition, great clarity, great focus, and something that people don't know. One of the most dysfunctional aspects of humans today is the routine. Do you have a good routine, Calix?
Yeah, I try to keep a good routine on a daily basis.
Good. So the routine that I have is I get up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and I start creating. And that's very unique. Is so I create at a very, very high level every second, every minute of the day. And so listeners are probably saying, how is this person able to create all the time, do these miracles? In the business, life is all about sounds, numbers, and it all has to make sense. It all has to add up. So when I was 4 years old and I was creating wealth, my faith and my energy was so high, I was creating the proper numbers, and all the numbers add up. And so throughout my life, it's been the same thing. So unlike most people, when they think about investing in something, if I find a technology that I like, I just buy the company. Yes. So, you could either think small in your life, or you can think big.
I agree with that.
Yeah, and I've always, 13 children at age 8, and I'm making equivalent to $330,000. That's quite an accomplishment at 8 years old. So obviously it didn't take me too long to become a millionaire.
Correct.
And then go from there. Because, see, I always believe that something wonderful is about to happen. Always believe that something wonderful is about to happen. And also, too, in this world that we live in, remember, you are of infinite worth. Every human being on earth is of infinite worth. And people are struggling in the world because they lack self-esteem. They lack worthiness. They give their power away. Yes. Have you ever given your power away to anybody in your life, Calix?
I try never to do that because it is giving away your rights.
Well, yes. When a person gives away their power, generally it's in a rescue process. We have a world of people who want to rescue. I'm going to share something. So when my daughter was born, I asked God and said, God, what's the best way to raise my daughter? And so I outdid every parenting expert in the world. I was a fantastic father, a 10 out of a 10, 100 out of 100. And the reason being is that I learned the big secret, and it's the big secret in business and it's the big secret in life, is I was told, be the happiest father in the world, and you're going to be a great father, and everybody around you is going to be happy. Be the happiest business person, everybody around you is going to be happy. Be the happiest in your personal life, and everybody around you is going to be happy. Yes.
Yes, you're talking about energy.
Yes. I'm an energy person. I call it vibration.
That's correct.
Yeah. And so I can co-create with God with this energy and vibration. So let me give your listeners sort of a practical. This is just something your listeners can understand. I'm standing in front of a department store with my wife in Mexico and speaking to her in Spanish because she doesn't speak English. And I said, I want to buy something for 90% discount, or they pay me to buy it. And this is commonplace for me to say those kind of things. In the real world, people would think it's crazy. So my wife went in the store. She looked at shoes. I went downstairs, looked in the men's department, and I decided to buy a new high-end shaver. Had a price of $300 US, or 6,000 pesos. It's a regular department store like you'd find any place in the world. Person put it in a barcode, and I was charged $30. So that's not magic. People who have energy and vibration, they're not doing magic. It's a question of connection. Yes. Same with business. A young lady whose parents were my clients for 40 years, so she was second generation. And she said to her father, I don't want to go to college. She called me Uncle Richard because she knew me all of her life. She's 18 years old. She says, I want to give my college fund to Uncle Richard, and I want him to train me. So she had a great acumen and figures, financial. She understood wealth really well. So I trained her because one of my clients was one of the leading traders in the world, and I helped him expand his business. So within 3 years, she was the youngest, most wealthy trader in the world, making $3 to $5 million or more dollars per day. Consistent.
That's impressive. Yes, that's impressive. Wow.
And so So, but here's the interesting thing, is the people I've trained in the world. So I have clients that are normal people. I have millionaires. I have billionaires. I have trillionaires. But the unique thing, as these people have grown, and just as she has grown, she gives a great portion of her monies to charities on a weekly basis. So it's about being of service to others, but also you're rewarded with great wealth. There's an expression, God helps those that help themselves. Do you remember that expression?
Yes.
Yeah.
From childhood.
Yeah. What it really means is, listeners out there, if you're going to sit on the couch all day and you want to be a billionaire or a millionaire, or you want $100,000, it's not going to happen, ever. You have to take 100% responsibility for your life. So as each day goes by, you take that responsibility and you become proactive and you become actionary. When I wake up in the morning, I'm creating. I'm taking action. Last year, I wrote 8 books in 1 year and started 20 new companies and about 5,000 other things in 1 year.
Wow.
That's quite an accomplishment.
How many companies?
20 new companies.
Wow.
Yeah.
Apart from the 8 books.
No, and 8. I wrote 8 books, 20 new companies, as well as thousands of other things. And
wow.
it's because I'm never stressed. I don't worry. But here's the interesting thing, Kalex, that your listeners probably don't. All those people out there who are thinking, and mind chatter, you're never going to be successful. Why? Is because the truth and the solutions and the creativeness of geniuses in the world comes when their mind is empty. The only thing I ever think about is ice cream, candy, cookies, sex. Yeah.
As a normal individual.
Yes. So even though I have this great vibration, this spiritual energy, is that I'm very grounded. Yes. And plus, too, is everything is instantaneous. So I have never, ever had to think of a solution for anything in my entire life. It comes immediately. Whatever I'm going to do, I don't think about it. So the process is, believe it or not, brains were not put in people's minds for them to create with their brains. You create with your heart and with your soul. Yes. And that's where the vibrational energy. So you have to allow it to come in. And if your mind is filled with a lot of chatter, it's not going to happen. Absolutely won't happen.
Understood.
So to share with your listeners, we will be going in a recession in the world, but there are so much opportunities, and I'm able to see the future. So that's why my clients all over the world and people love me. Not only do I know the solutions, but I can see the future. So would you like me to tell your listeners and yourself what the future is going to look like?
Yes, but hold that thought for a minute.
Sure.
And I'm going to give you to start, and then we're going to go into it. The other question is, what exactly is your business? Are you a planner? How do we pay you in order for us to have you? Go ahead.
So you want me to respond?
Yes. They explain these 2 aspects.
Yeah.
And then...
So I'm a manifestation intelligent mentor coach.
Okay.
So what I do is people have problems, companies have problems, people have problems. And so I not only give them the solutions, but I program them to be great manifestors. Did you ever read the book The Secret, Felix?
No, I never heard of it, actually. I'm going to make note of it right now.
Yeah. So the Book of the Secret was about the law of attraction. It was one of God's natural law. And it's really about energy. And so people who read the book, some it worked for, many it did not. Because the key ingredient in me being a manifestation intelligent coach in the world is I can see the future. Plus, I'm a warrior. So in business, in my personal life, in every area of my life, I'm a warrior. But a warrior with a great heart. Like I have lots and lots of animals, and I love animals. So animals keep you grounded. So anybody in the world who isolates themselves, they're going to be a lot more successful if you surround yourself with great people. So do you know the word tribe?
Yes.
Okay. So in the 21st century, and now, tribe is going to take a new form. And what that tribe is going to look like, it's going to be people much like yourself. 90% of all the businesses in the world are going to be home-based businesses. 10% are going to be bricks and mortar. So all the mall, about 50% or more of the malls are going to be closed. Those properties will turn into parks. They'll turn into recreational areas. So the purpose of what's going on in the world today is to move us into a greater family unit. Because technology, I love technology, and I'm a leader in technology. In fact, I had a company, we built most of the major technologies in the world for 30 years. But I learned that you have to ground yourself and you have to live your life real. Lots of fun. Felix, do you have a lot of fun in your life?
I do try my best. Every year I travel. That's one of it. Okay. And yeah, I make time. Go ahead.
I have fun every minute of the day. I'm working in my garden, playing with my animals. My wife and I rescued a dog recently. We rescued her 6 weeks ago. We didn't know she was pregnant when we rescued her. And yesterday she had 6 pups. Unfortunately, one died. So most of my dogs in my life have been male dogs, not female. So it was quite an experience. Yes. So now I have, 11, 12. I have 16 animals right now.
Great.
In my house.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, the third question before we go into the middle of the conversation is, what are the barriers you had, in fact, the worst barrier you had in your life, and how you overcome it?
Well, the worst barrier. Okay. I've never really had any barriers in my life, but the greatest barrier humans are going to have in their life is ignorance. Yes. Ignorance is probably the greatest barrier. And the way that you get over ignorance is you explain things in a very practical, logical manner. Like I used to call government organizations all the time. And people didn't understand English and they were working for governments. And so I had to explain them. And they were ignorant really about their job. But they got the job because they were a minority. And so I explained it to them. So in the world today, ignorance is probably the greatest barrier, and the other is the feeling of no self-worth. And how do you get over that? I'm going to give you a really beautiful example. Have you ever been on a merry-go-round when you were a kid?
Yes, of course. Many times.
Okay. Life is like a big, giant merry-go-round. So when I was a little boy, there's this beautiful merry-go-round I used to go on, believe it or not, every day. And they had a brass ring. And when you got the brass ring, it meant you get to go on the merry-go-round again. And so the barrier was getting that brass ring because I wanted to go on the merry-go-round again. And do you know why? Because I deserved to. And so I would use my energy to be exactly at the place over and over again to get the brass ring. So you listeners out there, you want to get the brass ring in the life. And so what does the brass ring mean? It means wealth, wellness, love, harmony, gratitude, joy. And this is the key to business in the world, gratitude and joy. Everything I eat, everything that goes in and out of my mouth, every penny I ever receive, I'm always in gratitude and joy. See, these secrets about businessmen don't tell you. Business is about dollars and cents, not cents. So it's about dollars and S-E-N-S-E and not dollars and C-E-N-T-S. So everything has to make sense. So if people have barriers, or if they go, I don't have any money, that really doesn't make sense. You're not supposed to have a barrier. Have you ever had a barrier in your life, Calix?
I open all the doors when barriers come my way.
See, that's good. So all the doors are open always for me to be abundant. So listeners out there, if you want wealth or you want riches, that's fine. But don't ever ask for money. And business is about language too. Use powerful words. I had 5,000 employees, and anything my employees did, I was always the person who took responsible. And taking 100% responsible for everything that happens in your personal life or professional life, that's one of the keys to being really successful. So all you have to do is go, yes, I take 100% responsibility, and then the universe allows you to continue. I'm going to give your listeners and yourself some secrets about business. Sure. There's only two energies that exist here on earth. One of them is called no, or negative energy, and the other is yes, I know, 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 yes, I know. So you say it 9 times. And why 9 times? Because mathematically, it takes that energy to 9 squared. So what does it do? It shifts you automatically, and then guess what it does? It creates great abundance in your life, great wealth, great wellness, whatever you're seeking. So the world is about language. And I think, Calix, you learned that. So who taught you about language in your life?
Well, I first started by speaking to elders, but as I grew, I began to meditate on a lot of things that used to be trouble for a lot of my friends. And I find answers coming to me very easy because I searched them. But I didn't have all the answers. It gradually came in as I grew older.
Yeah. But see, so as a 4-year-old, I would only talk to the masters. I understood them, they understood me. So I was at a very high vibration and very high intellectually, but very grounded and having fun. So I would ask my aunts and uncles, do you love each other? Why do you love each other? And very, very adult questions.
Right.
Because I always wanted to know people as human beings, not because they were a relative. And in the world we live in, unfortunately in families, and this is the key to being success, no opinions, no judgment, and no assumption. If you can move it, not having any opinions, judgments, and assumptions, you can have a great personal life and a really wonderful business life. So I don't have any opinions, no judgments, no assumptions. You're allowed preferences. I like chocolate ice cream. Another person might like strawberry or vanilla. That's great. We're all allowed personal preferences. But you know what opinions, judgments, and assumptions do to people? They block their freedom. Yes. You seem like you know about freedom, right, Kalex?
Yes.
Is it important for you to be free?
It is.
Okay. So, have you, during this time period, been quarantined and so forth? And how
Yes.
have you? Okay. So, nobody's ever quarantined me in my entire life, and nobody will ever. And I'll give you an example. On Mother's Day, I got up in the morning, had breakfast with my wife, played with my animals. Then I went to the city, and I bought my wife her favorite tortillas. I brought her favorite flowers, lilies. Then I created this lady I had never seen who made these special gifts. I bought my wife 3 gifts. Then I bought her jewelry, and then I bought her the 2 most fantastic dresses for her wardrobe, all in so-called quarantine. So this is another point in business and life. It's business as usual. It's life as usual. Business as usual. So no matter what's happening in the world, business can be as usual. So I'm going to tell the listeners the areas that are going to be expanding. Anything in wellness and health, 10,000%. Anything to do with online education, 10,000%. Anything to do with the internet world, 10,000%. And here's the secret area, but one of the most important. Anything to do with environmental is going to be growing 10,000%. Because during this time of so-called quarantine, one of the things is Mother Nature is so happy. You listeners out there, Mother Nature had a very faint heartbeat. I can actually hear the heartbeat of Mother Earth. Now, after weeks and weeks of cleansing, the birds are out, the flowers, the insects are growing, the flowers are growing abundantly, the skies are clear and blue. Mother Nature's heartbeat is wonderful. Yeah.
Great.
She's alive and happy. Yes.
I'm happy to hear that. But let us touch Mr. Richard London. Let us touch a little more on the last question's second part. How do you go ahead and generate revenue, and what is going to cost any of the audience to actually have a consultation with you or to hire you?
Well, what I've done when I came out of retirement, I put together a number of programs that are very reasonable for people to help people move forward. I'll just go through a few of them. I was sitting in my office and I said, people are struggling to find love in their life, soulmates. So I put together a 10-step process. And if you follow those 10 steps, you can create a soulmate in your life. And see, what's different in all my programs, they are step-by-step processes, but they've been programmed to work. So, as an example, in coming back from retirement, I put together all my tools and affirmations, over 350, in a program. And so a person can receive all 350 tools and affirmations for less than $300. And it took me 50 years to do the work, and over $300,000 worth of time. So there are a number of programs. I created a program called Automating Your Life. I have homes and I have electronics that automate it. And I said, wouldn't it be neat if someone could automate someone's life? And so what it means to automate a person's life is that means all your stuff, all your negative memory, all your problems, all your emotional triggers, all your stuff. It's completely eliminated so you can move forward and you could be of service to humanity and actually be of service to your family and service to yourself. So all the work that I do is private. I do it for people because I want to people, when you work 50 years in your life, you want people to be successful.
Yes.
And my corporate clients pay a lot of money for my services. So
right.
basically, I'm giving back and reducing. So my service could be for sessions as little as $100, and some of the programs are a few $1,000s. But
Gotcha.
The normal cost is 10 and 20 times that a particular amount of money. But they get the same kind of service that the corporate clients are buying. Yeah. Nothing. You don't change.
I'm glad you mentioned that, yes.
Yeah. You don't change your service the way you're going to deal with people, because what I'm able to do is I can look in a person's future and see the mistakes that they're going to make. And then I make recommendations so they make the correct decisions. So let's ask, I want to ask you a question. What's the worst decision you ever made in your life?
Not to take a risk.
Right. Okay. Do you hear that, listeners? So life is about taking risks, but in all honesty to you, when you're using your intuition and you have a great mentor, you're not really risking very much, because your head, like in investing in the market, the reason people fail in investing in the market is greed, and that's head-based. It's not heart-based. So they get greedy, and they. So the other big secret is being all in. So everything you do, everything I do, Kalex, I'm all in 100% plus. So when I'm working with a client, I'm in 100%. And what I'm doing, like right now, do you know what negative imprinted memory is?
No.
Okay. So every person on earth has stuff that causes them emotional triggers and past things from their childhood. They're called negative imprinted memory. So everybody who's listening, I'm removing negative imprinted memory right now. So you're going to feel better. You're going to feel fantastic. Oh, you saw my poem, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you read it?
Nightmare
Beautiful.
of New Earth.
Right. So 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm laying in bed, and God says, get out of bed and write this poem. So I wrote the poem for the time, and I programmed it. So the purpose of the poem, every time you read the poem, it does one thing. It opens up your hope. Yes. And so that poem has gone all over the world, and millions of people have read it. And it radiates the energy of hope. Yes. So when I'm working with a client, I know exactly what their problems are, exactly what the solution is, and then we implement the solution. Yes. And it's
Great
always
job.
easy.
Right. So let us dig into your actual energy now. Tell us about this positive vibration that you made mention about the world recession. Dig into that for us.
Okay. So what's going on in the world, it's political, it's monetary, and it's transformational. So every second that goes by, Kalex, you and I and everything on earth, is changing. So change is not bad. It's only bad if you perceive it being bad. Yes. Change is actually positive. So I'll give you an example. The real estate industry will probably move into a recession as well.
Yes, for the next 2 years.
Yeah. So as an example, it's a great time to flip homes.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. So you buy homes that might not be the perfect models, and they need work. So you have a team of people who clean it, they paint it. It's called gingerbreading. And you can make millions. And I've had clients that I trained them to make millions in the recession and flipping.
Yeah, that's my field of work, Richard.
Pardon me?
That's my field of work.
Ah, yeah. So, again, I don't want to paint any ugly picture about the future because it doesn't have to be ugly. It can be very, very positive. So you have to have a plan. And somebody like myself, I put together, it's called a life plan. And I probably no one ever put together a life plan for you. So a life plan is different than a business plan, and it's a lot more effective because it really deals with every area that's going to be necessary for you to be successful in the future. Yes. And so that's one of the things that I do is I put together a life plan, and they're so super effective. You build a tribe. Do you have your own tribe?
No, I used to be in part of a group in Manhattan in the early 2000s, I believe, or late 90s, and it was kind of like a tribe, but we actually use our businesses to help each other. So every week, once a day, we will go to that meeting early morning and to use it as a tribe to help each other business to grow.
Well, with the invention of the internet, you know what? I was one of the people instrumental in allowing the internet to be public, believe it or not. And so one of the reasons myself and the other people involved with the ARPANET and then the internet, do you know why the internet was invented? And you're going to love it.
Say, go ahead.
The purpose of the internet was to bridge all humanity knowing no ethnicity. To bridge all humanity knowing no ethnicity. And so it's done a great job in that. People could talk with people all over the world, and they don't see color anymore. Yeah. And the world is a lot more available to people. People are a lot more interesting. I grew up, and I never saw ethnicity. I just saw good people. I never met bad people. So the internet was created to bridge all humanity knowing no ethnicity, but now it's a place to find a lot of knowledge. Not necessarily wisdom, but knowledge.
Right.
So that's one thing unique about me and my work that I do. I use wisdom. Yes. And so when you have great wisdom, it works for everyone. Knowledge can be very selective, but wisdom is not selective. A person who has great wisdom, it works for everyone. So when I'm working with a client, it's all about what's best for them. And this brings up a really great point. I've always had the ability to walk in people's shoes. Even if it's a woman and she's got 6-inch high heels, shoe. You have to be able to walk in a person's shoes. Yes.
Understood.
And here's a great thing that I need to share with you, and that is 100% integrity. In the future is that the businesses that are going to be most successful, you have to have integrity, and 100% integrity. Like in the crypto business, it's going to be problematic until you get rid of the people who lack integrity, and then the industry will stabilize. It's like the banking industry originally, the credit card industry.
Yes.
Many people lacked integrity.
Once
the integrity was solved, credit card industry became better, banks became better, and cryptocurrency will be better. But personally, in your personal life and business, if somebody gives you a penny that doesn't belong to you, if you have to walk 100 miles, you walk those 100 miles and you give the person back that penny. Yes.
I agree. Well,
yes.
Mr.
Because
London,
in business, if you steal a penny, it's like stealing $1 million. Yes.
Right.
$1 billion. Yes.
Right. Well, to close, we have touched base on all of the different points. To close, I have one question for you. But before I go to the question, I must say you were very thorough, and we have learned the law of attraction from you. You told us about your personal life, that you have how many 6-degree black belts?
See, I'm going to tell a really quick story, and it's going to be important for the listeners. And so when I was 13 years old, I was in junior high. And because of my energy, I was very good with plants and agriculture. So I was chosen to be the farmer of the year and the farmer of America. I'm 13 years old, and I went to an awards benefit. And I'm sitting there by myself, and they're giving me an award for Future Farmer of America. It's a very, and I said, I don't want to be a farmer. That's good. That's going to be boring. But listeners, I'm the greatest farmer on earth, because in this conversation, I've planted hundreds of seeds. And the difference between other people planting seeds and myself, my seeds always germinate. Yes.
I understood that, because you were saying in layman terms that it is not necessarily a seed or a plant that actually make you a farmer. It's you able to manifest and to make people grow and to show them the next way forward, or the door to open, is quite an impressive farmer recognition.
Yeah, so every time I reiterate that story, my soul just resonates, because I am this great farmer, not only for myself, but for humanity and the world. Everybody who works with me becomes very successful in every area of their life. Their lives change and transform into something beautiful.
Great.
And that's what life is all about.
Yes, and you are very optimistic. I like that about you. And you have a lot of positive vibration. You also taught us that you have written 8 books. You grow 20 new companies. Impressive. And going forward, your job is to be a manifestation mentor coach to individuals and companies, and you have different packages for corporates, and you have different service fees for startups and founders or individuals who wants to get your service, which is quite an impressive move to go from the corporate and come to the regular person. You actually knew that they would love to have a breakdown of that fees, and you made it possible. I like that too. Go ahead.
I have to share with you. God told me, what about the one person you miss? And it can't be about money. It has to be you. If you're put in a position where you need to help someone, it can't be about money, because otherwise God would not have put you in that position to help that person. And so I've never, ever not helped someone. Yes, even when I'm walking down the street, I will give people money. Yes, when I see someone old or crippled. And interestingly enough, I will never give anybody money unless I can look at their eyes. Lots of people around the world, when they're begging, they have their head down. And I said, I'll be glad to give you money, but I want to look in your eyes when I do so. And that's an important aspect in business. When you're doing business, you look in a person's eyes. You can see their soul. You can see what they're all about.
Yeah, because usually if they are not real, it tells it in the face. And if they're not sure of what they're saying, too, you could actually see the difference. You're right.
Yeah, I like real. And my world has been about real. So I have all these animals, and with each animal, I do different things, special things. Like I have one animal, he and I eat ice cream together. I don't eat ice cream together with any of my other animals. So life is about acknowledging how beautiful each and every living thing is in your personal life and your business life, and really following through. I wake up happy at 3, 4, 5 in the morning. I go to sleep happy. And great listeners out there.
Very good. Well,
look at your routine. And if you're suffering, you probably have a horrible routine. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. You touched upon God would not have given you this positive vibration if you do not put yourself in that mode. Our final question, which is our signal question, it kind of ties in with that question. So I'm about to ask you that question before we close. Do you think Mr. Richard London was born for a reason in this world?
First of all, everybody's born for a reason.
We're talking about Mr. Richard London.
Yeah. Yes, 100%. I was born for a reason. I was born to be able to guide people to being the best version of their authentic soul. The best version of their authentic soul. Imagine that. Doesn't it sound beautiful, the best version of your authentic soul?
Yes, and I'd like to hear more about it too.
Yes. So, being the best version of your authentic soul. So, when humans come to this earth, they have, 1 marriage, 2 marriages. They go from job to job. There's various circumstances. And in going through life, people don't necessarily become the best version of themselves. Because, to give your listeners an example, everyone who's born, they experience what's called cultural love. So that's love that your parents express, your grandparents, your teachers, the religious people around you. That doesn't really work in a society. Then society created unconditional love, and then everybody puts condition. I'll love you if you do this, if you do that. The only love that's really pure and being the authentic version of yourself is, guess what? You finally reach a point of divine love. So I'm going to ask you, Calix, if you had to choose between cultural love, unconditional love, or divine love, what would you choose?
Based on the explanation, I would choose divine love. Yes,
because not only because of the explanation, but also the energy. Yes. So life is about what goes in and out of our mouth. So you put good things in your mouth. You don't have to eat perfect. If you like ice cream occasionally, don't deprive yourself. But whatever comes out of your mouth has to be great words. Yeah, why not? Yes. Divine love, beauty, those are great words. Wealth is a great word. Harmony is a great word. Gratitude, joy, these are great, great words. And so, as I'm saying it, believe it or not, Calix and I are co-creating. We're co-creating for you listeners out there. Yes. Because of when you get two or more people together and both people understand the value of and the power of words, and they're using powerful words, all it is creation. Yes.
I agree. Creation of the positive energy.
Yes. It's more than just positive energy. It's energy that co-creates. So when I just take a walk, I'm always creating miracles. Always. So, listeners, I was a treasure hunter for over 40 years. And so I used to go to estate sales and garage sales, and I found millions in treasures. And you know what I did with all the treasures? I put them in the trunk of my car. And as I went through life, guess what I did? When somebody did an act of kindness for me, I went to my car. No matter what the value of the treasure was, I intuitively knew what the person needed, and I gave it to them. So one of my nicknames that I have is the Treasure Doctor. So instead of looking for treasures for money, I look for treasures to give to other people. So Calix is giving you treasures with the wisdom of other people. I'm giving people treasures with my great wisdom. Yeah. And here's a unique thing. To be a great mentor like myself, you have to see the greatness of the people that you work with. So immediately when I start working with someone, I see your greatness. And I take that energy and I manifest it and make it real. How do you like that?
Very good. Well said, too. And I'm glad the way you explain it. You break it down in layman terms for us to understand. Richard, it was such a pleasure having you here. And one of the means that our guests can get in touch with you is through your email, which is Richard London. Our listeners is RICHARDALOND Richard, what other areas listeners can get in touch with you?
Yeah, well, they can get in touch with me at richardlondon.com. Also, one of my really interests is to automate someone's life and get rid of all this stuff. So you could go to automatealife.com. Yes. And you listeners out there, you can write to me. Yes. I see every email. I don't have any filters. Yes. I don't live in a glass house. Yes. I'm available. But this is the time. This is time for you to prepare for a great 2020, a great 2021, a great 2022. And I'm there to help people. So richardlondon.com. My email is richardalondon@gmail.com. You can go to automatealife.com. Yeah. And for you, those listeners out there who want to learn about rebuilding the self-esteem, one of the new companies that I created last year, it's LIKING with a U, the letter U.com. So it's liking you with the letter U. And there I have a number, lots of information, and lots of programs. So I have many. I have about 200 .com companies. I even have my own university. It's called Role Model University.
Great.
I've had it for years.
Well, London, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say is the university was created to create, and I'm sure you're familiar with the term, but a lot of people don't know it, change makers. Women and men change makers in the world. So if I had to leave anybody with a thought, if you're going to be here on this earth, why not live an extraordinary life? Be a change maker. Create products, services. Yes, fill a need. And you know that's the secret, always filling the need. But be a change maker. Be extraordinary. And Kalex understands that. I can tell from his vibration that he does a lot of extraordinary things.
I have to.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Did you hear what he just said, listeners? He has to. And it's the same with myself. I have to, because that's who I am, and that's who Kalex is. Yeah. And guess what? We don't want you to be another Kalex, another Dr. Richard London. We want you to be the best version of your authentic soul.
Richard,
how beautiful. Yes.
It is beautifully said, and it looks like you have so much to say, and we got so much to dig into. We will have to have another episode some other time, because you were quite impressive, and we can learn a lot from you. And there are so many parts of your degree that we can touch. We haven't even touched on the books yet. I would love to know every book.
Yeah. You know how many pages of creation I've created in my life? Hundreds and hundreds of thousands. Yes.
Yes. So going forward, we will schedule another interview another time.
Okay, that'll be wonderful. It'd be my pleasure. I really enjoyed being on your show because
Thank you.
of you. The sincerity radiates from you, and I like sincere people. Yes.
Thank you, Richard. It is a great pleasure knowing you, Mr. London.
Oh, real pleasure knowing you, Kalex.
All right. I will shoot you an email when that episode is ready to air, and I'll send you a link, a podcast link, when it's already out, so you will be informed, okay?
Blessings. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to iBond Studio podcast show with your host, Kalex. If you like our show, give us a review. We want to thank our sponsor, Free Conference Call Service, who made it possible for these interviews. You can contact us via ibondstudio.org or support us on anchor.fm/ibondstudio. Thank you for all your comments.